So good day everyone, and for today's video, we're going to tackle about the wisdom of Confucius. It was translated by Len Yu Tang. Len Yu Tang was a Chinese philosopher. So before anything else, let's discuss first who was Confucius. So Confucius was a Chinese philosopher and a politician of the spring and autumn period who was traditionally considered the paragon of Chinese sages. So, widely considered one of the most important and influential individuals in human history. Confucius' teachings and philosophy formed the basis of the East Asian culture and society and continue to remain influential across China and the East today. So Confucius is considered as one of the most influential person in the world today. So Confucius was the creator or was the origin of the religious group named Confucianism. So next. So about the same time that Buddha was teaching people in India how to find peace and contentment within themselves, so Confucius was teaching the Chinese people how to get along with each other. So how to be true to themselves as well as honest in their social relationship. So he has a very practical religion and his teachings are still national force in China. So shaping the conduct of everyday affairs. So like Buddha, Confucius wandered from place to place, a gentle, kindly teacher of history, poetry, and music, winning disciples and spreading his wisdom far and wide. So, in his later years, he regretted that he had been unable to put into practice his ideas about the government service. So, entering the government service in his early 20s, he hoped all his life to become prime minister or one of the warlords and set an example of good government. So, but the times were troubled, like our own and several official imposition. So he was often out of favor and obliged to leave the native state of Lu as an exile. So after his death at the age of 73, so a temple was built in his honor on the site of his tomb. So for the centuries thereafter, his disciples worshipped him and spread his teaching in something of the same manner that the disciples of Jesus did. So same as the Christian, Confucianism also worship like Jesus. So, unlike the followers of Jesus, the followers of Confucius were persecuted in later day when a new emperor came to power and feared his wisdom. So not only were Confucius' books burned, but thousands of his devoted followers were also thrown into flames. So as though foreseeing his great destruction, as it came to be called, the some death were able to reproduce them, so they might be handed on down to posterity. So, moreover, Confucius himself made his similar provisions. So, hidden in his house were found his writings inscribed on bamboo strips. So, thus, many centuries later, modern scholars were able to restore from these two sources Confucius' teachings. So, briefly stated, that Confucius taught that no government can be better that character of its ruler. So, and except political grows out of moral truth, it has no true foundations. Students of social philosophy not only in China but in America and elsewhere still find work a valuable source of information. But he is best known human conduct, which have come down to us in pithy sentences easily remembered, which have come down to us pithy sentences easily remembered and often repeated. So here are some of these popular proverbs and epigrams which have long since passed into the common currency of man's thought and are as vital today as they were 2,500 years ago when they were first written. So, the following are some of
After
the
knowing
popular
who is
proverbs and
Confucius
epigrams
is, I
of
will give to
Confucius.
you some of his popular proverbs and epigrams. First is, men are born pretty much alike, but through their habits, they gradually grow further apart from each other. These sayings simply means us that as a human, we are pretty much alike, but uh, but the but our characteristics made us distinct from each other, and how to live and deal with it in our everyday lives. Second is to know to know what to know what you don't know is the characteristics of ones who knows. It simply means that recognizing what you don't know is a sign of an intelligent or a wise person. It is because a wise person knows his or her limitations and are not afraid to say, I don't know, if she really does not know the answer to a particular topic or a question. So, a wise person never hesitates to acknowledge the things that they don't know. The third thing that he says is, it is easy to be rich and not haughty. It is difficult to be poor and not grumble. This simply means that if you're rich, then stay silent. Being rich doesn't even mean that you can rule the world, nor does not mean that you are more powerful than those who are average type of people, because actually we are all people. No one should be treated differently. So that's the meaning of it. The fourth one is excuse me. When a country is in order, it is a shame to be a poor and common man. When a country is in chaos, it is a shame to be rich and unofficial. So this means that it is only impossible for a man to be poor, given the spoon fed to the wealth of the economy. With the same opposite, you can't be rich given that the economy is in hardships. The fifth one is, do not worry about people nor knowing you, but strive so that you may be worth it knowing. So you should not care about what people think about you. It was just make you feel uncomfortable. But instead, do your best. Be successful and achieve something great and worthy. In that way, people will know and remember you. So that's the message that Confucius really want to persuade on us. The next passage that he give in his proverbs is, if a man would be served toward himself and generous toward others, he would never arouse resentment. So is it true, right, that if we are generous to others, we cannot uh, plant resentment towards them because we are not doing bad things towards them. The next one is, a man who does not think, plan along ahead, will find trouble right by his door. Yes, even when everything seemed to be going well, Confucius advocated that a plan for a worst case scenario was necessary. The message in this quote is a simple but important one. If you do not come up with strategy for the future, your future or your career will be certainly encounter overwhelming obstacles that without preparation may be impossible to overcome. The next one is, to repay evil with kindness is a sign of generous character. To repay kindness with an evil is a sign of a criminal. Do you agree in that? For me, yes, I'm totally agree in that, because you have to be great. You have to be grateful to the persons that owns you. Paying them with a kindness reflects on your true color as a human. Don't do something bad to those persons who help you a lot. The next one is, when you see a good man, try to emulate his example. When you see a bad man, search yourself for his fault. Next is, don't criticize people's fault. Criticize your own. So this simply means that you need to accept what is your imperfections, what is your uh, uh, mm, you need to accept your flaws. I mean, by by accepting by accepting your fault. So that's it. The next one is, the superior man is always candid, at the ease with himself of others. The inferior man is always worried about something. The next one is, a gentleman is ashamed that his work are better than his deeds. This simply means that he is very good at his words, but not by his actions. The next proverbs that Confucius give given is, reading without thinking gives you one disorderly mind, and thinking without reading makes one flighty. So it simply means us that reading without knowing is just a passive learning. So that's it. The next one is, the type of scholarship which is bent on remembering things in order to answer people's question does not quality on the on being a good teacher. So as a whole, Confucius briefly stated that no government can be better than character than its ruler. And except politic grows out of moral truth, it has no true foundation. So I think that's the end of our